Hi everybody. I hope everybody's been having a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and that everybody's ready to start the absolute fest of nonsense that we're gonna be getting into tonight. We're gonna cover some legal stuff first because there was a little bit of a KJ was supposed to sit for deposition on the 9th, and she did not because they filed this, and it's a motion to dismiss. I'll read through it and then I'll let you guys vote. We'll do our normal ones in the chats. I'm not going to make an actual poll for it, but we'll vote about whether or not we think it will be sustained or it will be denied. There's also going to be there's some shenanigans that are afoot that seem to have just happened with a certain person named Nat, and we will get into that also, but I want to go through the legal stuff first because that happened first. I'm trying to be as chronological as possible because keeping up with all this nonsense surrounding this woman is nigh impossible. I'm gonna sneeze. Jesus. Excuse me. Ugh. Freaking out, man. It is snowing for me. It is actually pretty nice snow, but it's a little bit slushy. It's not so great. But I like the snow. I'm here for it. I ended up with a black tea. However, considering what we're about to get into, I also poured myself a glass of wine. So I definitely recommend that you all get your favorite snackage, you all get your favorite drinks, you all get anything that you need to de-stress yourself, because I think this might be a little bit stressful to go through once we get out of the litigation. As if the litigation isn't going to be, full of enough shenanigans, but whoo! All right. Let's, I feel like we're not diving. I feel like this is a little bit more belly flopping, tripping and hitting our face. We tried to dive in, but there was no water in the pool. Something along those lines. I don't know. Get your de-stressifier stuff on. Don't forget to breathe, unclench your jaw, and if your shoulders are tight, relax. All right. State of Minnesota, County of Wright, District Court, 10th. Michael Todd Chrisley, plaintiff, Catherine Mansky-Polson, Without a Crystal Ball, LLC, notice of motion and motion to dismiss. Defendant, 2 plaintiff, Michael Todd Chrisley and his attorneys, Ann M. Lochner and Charlie C. Goki. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Robbins, Kaplan, LLP, 2800 LaSalle Plaza, 800 LaSalle Avenue, Minneapolis, Minnesota, 55402, 2015. Notice of motion. Please take notice that on the 6th day of December 2021, at a time to be determined or as soon thereafter as counsel may be heard, defendants Catherine Mansky-Polson and Without a Crystal Ball, LLC, will bring the following motion for the hearing in the Wright County District Courthouse, courtroom to be determined, 3700 Braddock Avenue, Buffalo, Minnesota, 55313. Motions. Defendant Catherine Mansky-Polson and Without a Crystal Ball, LLC, hereby move the court for an order dismissing this action with prejudice due to failure to state a claim upon which relief can be granted. This motion for dismissal is made pursuant to Rule 12.02e of the Minnesota Rules of Civil Procedure and is made on the basis that, among other things, plaintiff cannot, under any facts, provided consistent with his theory of the case outlined in his complaint overcome: 1, the protections against libel suits afforded to a journalist covering public figures, and 2, the fact that most of the complained of behavior simply consists of statements that are true or opinion. Well, we all know that the audience of Katie Joy Paulson seems to struggle between recognizing whether or not she is stating something as a fact or stating it as an opinion. But yeah, I see that chat has caught that she's trying to argue that she's a journalist. Yep. And 2, the fact that most of the complained behavior simply consists of statements of true or opinion because plaintiff's claims consist solely of defamation causes of action that cannot be maintained. Defendants respectfully request that the court dismiss this proceeding with prejudice. And then this poor guy. But yeah, that's all there is. A quick motion to dismiss because she claims to be a journalist and that everything else is opinion. So, April for 5 says, Chesh, I win. Haha. I believe you do. But, chat, dear viewers, you tell me, do you think that the court is going to buy this motion to dismiss and dismiss the case? 1. Or 2, that this is going to be brushed aside and the case will move forward for 2. 1 in the chat if you think the court will follow this and dismiss the case. 2 in the chat, no way. 2. I would vote 2. I do not think that it's going to get tossed. 2, you guys don't think she's, you don't think her I'm a journalist is going to fly? Oh, I'm seeing a number 3. What is option 3? If you have another suggestion for number 3. Fernando makes a good point. The motion did not address any of the claims in Chrisley's filing. Well, I mean, it called all of the claims either a complaint about... Let's see, what did it say? It said that it's either okay because she's a journalist talking about a public figure, or that they would... her opinions and statements that were true. So KJ's claiming that she never said anything false, or if anything was false, it was an opinion. It's kind of convenient. I don't know how that would really fly in court. Three, plead the 5th. Oh, 3, Chrisley responds. Oh, I'm sure Chrisley... I would suspect that Chrisley would respond. That's fair. You make a good point. 3, he responds or amends his claims. Okay, yeah, I'm fine with 3. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a mix of 2 and 3, so he takes the opportunity to respond to add more stuff to demonstrate his claims. I would buy that. Claire's in the chat saying she tweeted herself several times that she was not a journalist. Yeah, oh yeah, there's plenty of publicly available snippets of Katie claiming that she was not in fact a journalist. Although I do think one of my favorites is the clip where somebody in her chat said she was a journalist while she was live with Todd, her husband. And her husband is like, you don't tell people that, do you? And she's like, and he's like, whoa. That was probably one of my favorites. It will be interesting if Todd Chrisley does force KJ's hand, I guess, to demonstrate or prove that she is a journalist. All right. So the legality stuff was pretty quick, right? There's not a whole ton to look at here. It's just KJ trying to get the suit thrown out based on that she's a journalist, which I think everybody laughed at. And that what she was saying was either true or it was opinion-based. And, you know, that's a pretty gray line for her previous behavior, in my opinion. Nancy says, I think Todd Chris's lawyers have figured all this out in advance. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of... KJ has been a little bit predictable over the years, in my opinion, so I wouldn't be surprised if people who know what they're doing, if you know what I mean. My hair's still wet. Alright, so let's take a look at some of the shenanigans that have gone on. So, some of you may be familiar with a woman named Nat. I am not very familiar with this person. They came kind of across my YouTube timeline as people were talking about them because she showed up on a live stream claiming that Steve had threatened her and that there was hacking going on and that her mom was trying to reach out to people and that she has some kind of mental issue of some sort. And Intrigue Feline makes a good point. It says it'll be interesting to see whether or not if she claims not to be a public figure or not to be a journalist in Steve's case. Yes, for this motion to dismiss paints her as a journalist making Steve's case stronger. If she's going to try to argue that she's not a public figure or if she's going to try to argue that Steve is a public figure. I'm not sure which way that's going to go. We'll have to wait and find out since they're just in the discovery phases. But if you are interested in donating to Steve, the GoFundMe is back up and the link is in the description. So, let's take a look. 3 videos came out, like pretty one after the other. 16 minutes, 2 minutes, 11 minutes. My apology to the anti-KJ community and explanation. To Iris, dear Unirock, there is no cult. So, promptly, they were removed. So promptly, in fact, that I don't actually have copies. For anybody who's interested in seeing these copies, I believe Dottie Morgan got a hold of them, so you can go check out Dottie's channel. Or go talk to Dottie on Twitter. Perhaps she would be willing to help people out, and I'm sure there'll be a little bit more analysis that may be able to be done about those videos. However, people started tweeting about it. Notice that I can't see the above tweet here. I can't go any higher because the videos are gone now. So, referring to Nat, Irish Badass had said she needs to explain on the record and recorded meeting that took place on 08/22/2021. I've been publicly silent out of respect for Michael Saltz and any active investigations. Michael Saltz, whom you may remember from the Toddy Westbrook litigation with Katie Joy. Thank you, Irish. The FBI informed us they believe Nat is at the center of all the hacking and threats. She received help from at least 2 others that we know about. Nat has admitted all of this to Irish. More will eventually come out in court filings. Woo! It's been a long ride. Sheesh. Been there the whole time. I've been screaming it like a crazy person. The community told you this almost a year ago that she was behind this. Why didn't you listen before? You kept publicly announcing her innocence while people told you over and over she was behind this. No, what we said was that we had no evidence of it at the time. We said that the evidence we then had indicated Nat was a victim. We now have the evidence. We also know that she had accomplices in her harassment campaign. The investigation behind the scenes was extensive. That's a lot. That's kind of what you might consider a big bomb. Please explain to me how Nat received this message from a hacker's Facebook account more than 13 hours before the defense filing of which I had no prior notice. This is why Nat is providing us and the FBI with information. Nat is very literal. She does not understand nuance. I've experienced this with her in our interactions. She has explained how autism affects her ability to pick up on certain sayings. This is just a fact with her. Everyone is different, but it helps us know when she is hacked. Nat has received a significant number of threatening emails from which some of which contained advanced knowledge of defense filings that was not public knowledge. Are you saying that she sent those emails to herself? Then how did she have advanced information about filings when we didn't? These are from March of 2021. This one's from April, and March 28th of also 2021. So there's not saying she's innocent, but certainly questioning what exactly is going on and how anybody knows anything. Nat was hacked several times. We confirmed it. Nat's account has been hacked. More messages from the hackers via her account using language and phrases that Nat's autism prevents her from conceiving. Blame at Twitter. They're not very cooperative without subpoenas, so that slows things down. Nat was important as an informant because her account gave us the IP addresses of those people that hacked it in real time. That information was very enlightening, to say the least. We continue to believe Nat has been and continues to be the target of her hackers and trolls. We have not found anything in our investigations to conclude otherwise. It's very lawyer-ese language. But that's sort of what's been being said. But I think this is kind of a big deal. Like, this to me is a big deal. The FBI informed us that they believe Nat is at the center of all the hacking and threats. She received help from at least 2 others that we know about. She has admitted all this to Iris. More will eventually come out in court filings. So what it seems to be is there's a lot of information, there's a lot that needs to get out, and there's a lot of just litigation that's going to end up happening. So I think what would probably be best is just to sit back, watch, and see what comes out in litigation before jumping on any kind of a bandwagon or jumping on any kind of a hate train or jumping on anything like... I do not recommend involving yourself in ongoing cases. But hey, what do I know? But this is a little bit interesting. She received help from at least 2 others that we know about. That's 2 other people that they've confirmed. I'm curious to know who those 2 people are. It certainly is interesting. Here we've got Nat's been cleared. Nat sends threats. No, she's cleared, or maybe not. What a circus full of clowns. Some screenshots. Our lovely little Trigglypuff baby boy and his butt buddy Navy Techs hanging out, of course. Oh, and look who's here. Oh, no. Go back to your base cult and defend Steve, minion. Dear Unirock, there is no cult. Okay. Oh, it's Fiona Robertson. Oh, no. I'm so shocked and surprised. It's the old woman who decides not to use her PhD to, contribute, but spends her time calling people rape apologists. Oh, and who's she talking to? Oh, it's Exiled, 2 of the online Steve stalkers. Nobody is all good or all bad, and all of the manipulation of Nat to make her scared may have made her threaten, etc. Oh, so As long as it's against Steve, you're fine with making excuses for threats. And even though you're gonna say nobody's all good or all bad, you paint Steve as if he's all bad. Okay, well. Nat, hey look, it's Katie Joy. Nat sends threats, and it's without a crystal balls. They all do. They did it together. Whoever they is. I don't know. I have no idea. Who knows? Who's the they? Who are the other two people? Oh my god. What will we find out next time? Ah, god. Shocking. Shocking, to say the very least. When confronted with direct opposite information. Fernando makes a good point. This is such a total shit show. And here we have, from our lovely Nova, part of one of the videos that came out. So, shall we take a listen and find out what was said and why those things were deleted so quickly?
I reached out to all these people, they didn't reach out to me. I reached out to all these people. The whole purpose was to destroy this group from the inside out. But once you get to know these people, it's kind of like, it's not easy to just destroy people when you get to know them. And I really got to know, like, not personally, but I got to know like Ella Man, I got to know Tina and Erin, and sometimes you just realise that.
So she's saying that she went to go make friends with people to try to destroy their group of friends from the inside, and she just named Erin and Tina. I know it's hard to hear. It is very difficult to hear. Unfortunately, I don't have any subtitles, and hopefully I've got it loud enough that YouTube, if you rewatch this, will be able to pick up the subtitles from the audio I'm playing. With any luck. Fingers crossed.
People aren't as bad as other people say.
People aren't as bad as other people say, particularly when people are specifically going out of their way to try and destroy people and make them look like shit from the inside? Okay.
I do regret kind of blaming them for everything when it wasn't their fault. I went by what Kay said, but I regret it. Anyway, all the screenshots are out of context. If you read through them, you'd know that, but you're going over like old stuff. And if I need to go through like step by step what's happened, I will do.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. The only time I ever found out about this woman existing was on somebody named Kay's stream, who was also somebody I didn't know who existed at the time, and that it was this Nat person, this Kay woman, and KJ claiming that Steve was sending this Nat woman threats and something to do with hacking. That's the only time I found out that this person existed. And then a bunch of stuff went on with Salts, which I don't know what the heck for most of that, and FBI investigations into whatever hacking and threats that he was receiving. And then this came out recently, and I have no idea. So if she would like to go ahead and explain to us step by step exactly what has gone on and what has happened, I would love to know, because I have no clue. With screenshots, that would be great. That would be wonderful. I would love to know what the actual hell, with information to actually back it up. So your claims that Steve threatened you, some screenshots for that would be great. Because, you know, a bunch of us I managed to get myself wrapped up into that somehow. It's like, bitch, I don't know who you are. But let's keep listening.
Because Tina was never involved. Like, she wants to...
I'm sorry, did you guys all hear that? Tina was never involved? So when Tina was also getting wrapped up in all these threats and all whatever was supposedly going on, she just said Tina was never involved? And as she just explained a moment ago, she just said that, she had gotten into this group of people to try to destroy them from the inside. Okay.
Out Katie for things that she's done wrong, but she goes by facts and evidence, and if it's hoo-ha, it's hoo-ha. She doesn't care. Like, she won't take anything that's not factually correct. And
that's Tina. Tina works off of facts and evidence and won't take anything that's not factually correct. Okay. Good to know.
She wouldn't be involved with any of this type of drama. Erin's a really good person. I think she's top. I respect her and support her, and I still watch her content. I think she's funny. She wasn't involved at all. Like,
so Erin and Tina, who she named along with Steve, not involved. And they're great people. By the way, Erin's channel is EKC People Suck, if you guys are interested. I have had her on a couple times, and she is lovely.
I spoke to her, but then I spoke to like 1,000 other people. It doesn't mean they're all involved, does it? That's ridiculous concept to think of. This cult talk needs to stop, uni. Really needs to stop. I was abused in a church cult up until I was 15, and it was horrific, and it's one of the main reasons that...
If that happened to you, I am so sorry. That is awful. That sucks. But sounds like she's saying it's not a cult. Wow, go figure.
I have DID. It's one of the main reasons that I have several mental health disorders that makes me classed as mentally disabled, like severely mentally.
And that's where it cuts off, and where I have it too. Answer this, Nat. Why are you giving answers based on what Kay's opinionated was saying when she wasn't involved in any of this? Only you were involved. Kay didn't have info on this. Only you knew because you were doing it all, causing it all, and had all the answers for. The thing was, when a bunch of this went down, a bunch of accusations went out, a bunch of people said, okay, show us, and then that group of people who made those accusations and put that information out there never followed up. They never followed up on getting that information out. And this was months ago. You saw some of those screenshots. So this came out while I was getting ready to go live. And I don't know how much we're going to be able to listen to of it, because from what chat is telling me, it's down now. So let's take a look and see what we can hear. This is from Nat's channel. And so with all of these ones being gone now, this one came out. So let's take a listen and see how far we can get, if at all.
It really sucks when I come back to body and find things happening that I haven't personally done. Like, this is me, this is my voice, this is Nally. I hate that apart about having DID. Like, I lose a lot of time and a lot of energy, and it's just, when I come back to body, sometimes it's just chaos.
I'll let people discuss whether or not they believe Nat has these issues or whether that's fake. I don't know. I don't know enough about this woman. I don't know enough about her life. The degree of separation on the internet, I've never spoken to this woman. I'm not going to make that kind of a call, because I don't know. I just don't have that kind of information. However, I find it telling when somebody says that some of the hardest things about coming back to body and what's gone on is how tired I am and how it's chaos, and not trying to catch up on the bullshit that apparently your other personalities have been causing in the meantime. I find that odd. I find that would be something that would severely bother me. If I was losing time, like if I was losing time and I was losing what was going on around me because there was another person in my head taking over and causing bullshit for other people, that would cause me distress. I'd be less concerned about the time that I've lost, and I'd be a little bit less concerned, and maybe more concerned about, okay, what happened this time? I need to sort this out and fix whatever's gone on. But I don't know. I don't know. I just find that odd. Or if maybe, I don't know. I don't know enough about whether or not this is real, and I don't know enough about it, even if it is.
And I hate that. But the videos that have just been put up, that have been done by an alter, which I completely understand is like part of me, so I will take responsibility for that, are complete and utter lies. Like...
Okay, so taking responsibility wouldn't mean just taking them down. Taking responsibility would be looking at what was said and going through it and explaining what's gone on. Normally, or on average, I would say that you don't have to justify yourself or explain yourself to everybody all of the time. But when you put stuff out into the public and make public accusations and public accusations of crime against people, taking responsibility would mean taking what was said step by step and then explaining how what was said was untrue. Screenshot, play, explain. Screenshot, play, explain, screenshot, etc., etc. Show and tell people what has gone on and what is happening. And that way, you avoid and actually manage to take responsibility for whatever your alter has said or done. So if one of your alters says, hey, you know what? Tina's actually a pretty good person, or Aaron's actually pretty great, and then you come on and say, actually, everything they said was fucking lies. Okay, so what has Aaron and Tina done to negate or that would be problematic? Show and tell, right? Go through it. Explain what's gone on. That would be taking responsibility. Taking the videos down doesn't help. It confuses people. It makes things very difficult to figure out for anybody else what's gone on. I would recommend play the video and pause and explain. Play the video, pause and explain with screenshots. If you want people to know what's actually going on and what is lies and what isn't lies, because people are confused because you've got alters coming on and making 2-minute videos or 16-minute videos undermining what you're saying, show what is true. People are accepting. People are understanding when there's issues and you have things like alter egos or and mental distresses. People are understanding for that. So show them. Show them what's going on. Show them what has happened. Show them what is the case instead of just saying, well, whatever they said was lies. Okay, well, what was the lies? Show us the lies. That way, people will understand and know what's going on. Right? Word of advice.
I'm laughing because I can't believe that... oh, jeez. I just can't believe, like, my alter thought that that was okay to put up. And...
the clip that I heard of the alters thinking that it was okay to put up was that alter saying that these people actually aren't that bad. And you're behaving now. You're saying now that that was not okay to put up and that wasn't reasonable, and I'm laughing about it. What's so weird about saying that, you know what, people aren't necessarily as bad as they may seem or people might make them out to be? Claire says this dumpster has me drinking wine at 5 p.m. and trying to catch up. Very good to see you too, my friend. We scratch our heads together and a lot of at the ridiculousness never ending. Cheers. This is the thing. If Nat wanted to take responsibility for what her alters were saying and things that her alters were saying were untrue, then she should be able to show it. Take the time, walk everybody through the screenshots you have, walk everybody through your accusations, and show that your accusations were true. Show how that is the case. I do these videos pretty regularly. I don't have to clip people out of context. I don't have to ask that people just to believe me for anything that I'm saying. I show what is and is not the case. I show screenshots. I showed screenshots of what Salt said. I pulled up the litigation. If I wanted to talk about what somebody said in DMs, I will pull up the DMs as needed or as I see fit. So do that. You want to take responsibility for what's gone on and the confusion and what's happened? Show people what's gone on. Walk them through it. People are very understanding. And to do otherwise is just lip service. You're saying you're taking responsibility, but you're not actually taking any responsibility. I'm not going to treat people who have issues as if they're invalids, or they don't have choices, or they can't make decisions. I'm also not going to treat them, I'm not going to infantize them. Whenever possible. Which is all of the time. You can figure out how to use an internet connection. You can... I'm not going to treat you like you're not a human. You want to say that you can take responsibility, then do so.
Like, there's an argument going on, like, between two of my alters. It has been for the last couple of weeks.
I'd be curious to know how you know that. I'm not very familiar with DID. And in some cases, just from what I'm hearing, in some cases she seems to be very aware, and in some cases that she's not aware. She's saying she's losing time and she is very tired, and then she gets back and it's chaos and she's trying to find out. Right? So, but she knows that two of her alters are arguing with each other. So I'm not trying to question her issue. I'm saying I don't understand. So that I'm legitimately asking. I don't understand how you know this, or why you would struggle to take responsibility and explain to people what's going on if you have all the information. Right? I can certainly understand if you are unaware of something that your alter is doing and you don't know that they've done it until you find out later. But you're saying, it seems to me that you're saying that that's not the case, and you do know what's going on, and so you, by the time you've come back, you know, or you have control again, that you know what's gone on and what you need to do to take responsibility. Oh, the alters have a journal and are making video diaries to communicate. Well, wouldn't that be a valuable thing for her to share if that were the case? Again, I don't necessarily encourage that people share everything about their lives, particularly if they have issues. That's nobody's business. But when you make the business and your alters make that business public and they start making public accusations of crime, then it might be a good idea to start being like, yeah, okay, here's what's going on. Here, look, I have the journal of this alter ego. This is their journal. This is what they think. This is what they've been telling me. Right? This is what they're telling me here. This is what they're saying to you. These things don't match. Or these things do match. right? This isn't such a situation that it can't be explained. It's not so chaotic that you wouldn't be able to track and follow point A to point B to point C. Now, it would be confusing and it would be difficult, but it's not a reason to be able to, this person just said whatever they want and I'm taking responsibility by removing it. Well, hold on, so what's gone on? This all seems to be stuff that can be explained, and I'm not sure I understand why it's not being explained and shown.
It's hard when you have a condition that's easily triggered, like alters are easily triggered out, and that do things that I am unaware of. And it got, like, I was on stream with Kay and Katie in, I think it was June sometime. Let's go back to, like, the sheriff report. So the CPS sheriff report that was done in, like, I think it was June time. I spoke to the sheriff, like, afterwards and confirmed to him that none of it was true, that it had been given to me and I'd been, like, threatened to do that, and I provided him with the evidence of me being threatened to do that, because I was threatened by Dustin, Eleman, and the above. Erin had no involvement, like, she isn't involved.
So what your alter said was true. Because the alter was saying that Tina and Erin were not involved and that they're good people and that you had gone there to try to destroy them from the inside, but there is no cult to destroy. That sounds like confirmation to me about what we listened to earlier. But yes, sometimes things can't be explained. I agree with that. But when you make an accusation, I don't expect everything to be explained. I don't expect to be my hand to be held, and I don't expect crayons to be eaten. What I expect is, if you're going to take responsibility, then tell people what is and is not going on. And if you cannot tell people what's going on due to litigation, because that was a good point I saw somebody bring up in the chat, maybe you wouldn't be able to share that information due to litigation, then say that. Say that, hey, this shouldn't have gone out, more will be explained later, I can't talk about it right now because of litigation. Then say that. That would be taking responsibility, as far as I'm concerned.
And Dottie was only involved, like, to edit a video, and it was supposed to edit something out. So Eleman told me that we were on a 4-hour video call with Katie, and I believed it was Katie. Like, lie detector, whatever, I believed that was Katie that I was talking to, and I was really angry with her. Like, I was responding really angrily, and then I switched, and I don't remember anything past an hour mark in. And I know from the recordings I've got that the things that we're saying were psychologically, like, torture. Like, they were triggering me purposely. And I know that we had, like...
So, from my understanding, she's talking about a call she was in with Katie and Kay, and it sounds to me that she's accusing them of psychological torture and triggering her on purpose. So I don't know if she's being hyperbolic in saying psychological torture, or if she's calling purposefully triggering her as psychological torture. I'm not 100% about that, but this seems to be what she is getting at, to be clear. I'm still trying to figure out. I'm working through this, guys. I'm working through this.
The fidget toy that they were using, but you can hear, like, there is a part, like, so I've been through all of the videos, and there is a part of the video where Ella...
I would also like to point out that there's litigation going on now that would prevent her from explaining. But she is currently now explaining something that had happened months ago. I think she said June-ish. So it's been months. And that litigation wasn't immediate. A lot of what has blown up and what has been very confusing for people probably could have been explained a long time ago.
Man says, "Oh, I bet that account is going to threaten you," and then 20 seconds later the account threatens me. And listening to my alter's distress.
So they were threatening you. So that's Katie Joy and Kay now? Is that who? They're the ones threatening you? I'm having trouble keeping track of who is being threatened by whom. Because this sounds like she's saying that she was being triggered on purpose and threatened by Katie Joy and by Kay.
Is horrific. Listening to Dustin and Eleman laughing about that is horrific. They lied to me so much. And they were having secret conversations with my alters without me knowing. So how this disorder works is that when I switch between alters, there is amnesia between us, so I have no idea what's happened in that time frame. And so when they were talking to my alters, like most often Dennis or Stacey, because Dennis and Stacey are both, they see themselves, they don't really see the rest of the body, they don't see consequences for anything, like they don't see a system, they just see themselves. And like, because I've had a lot of therapy, like a lot of my alters like know of each other or know like the protector or what's not a protector kind of thing. But that's from years and years of therapy.
Okay. From my understanding, Nat first made an appearance online in regards to this Katie Joy situation only in 2021. Now, she may have been around in side chats, she may have been a viewer, but she started participating in this sphere that she is currently participating in as of 2021. If you've had years of therapy, it makes me question how you've managed to find yourself in the situation that you're in now, in how you're interacting and behaving within the sphere that you now find yourself in. Because you've had to live with this, because I'm assuming this is true. I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. I don't know, because I don't know enough about this issue or her to make a decision or make a knowledge claim about whether or not this is real or this is not real. I don't know. But I will give the benefit of the doubt that this is true, and what she's saying is true and accurate about her mental state. You would have had to have been living with this for a very long period of time, which sounds very difficult. And also, you would have had to have been interacting with other people and surviving in society in some way, and as well as apparently having therapy for years. So I don't understand, with the tools that you're describing that you know about and have, how we have all managed to find ourselves watching this video due to the events that have taken place. April for 5 says, I full on believe her. You get no hate from me. I just personally don't know. I don't know enough about Nat. I haven't watched enough of what has gone on with her, and I don't know anything about her personal life. Never talked to this person. I have no idea. But I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt. Annie, a play on any in Without a Crystal Ball, said, no one I've ever talked to about Nat has any clue who the heck she is or where she came from before the Toddy lawsuit. Also, how she came in to awareness is tweeting about AI looks like an Instagram comment, makes no sense. So nobody knows where this person came from or what their interactions were like in other spheres of influence, only within this one sphere of influence. So nobody observing, by the way, which I would normally say is like, listen, you're having your thing and you do your thing, that's fine. But you've brought your thing into other people's spheres and you're accusing them of crimes and doing things to you. I don't think Katie Joy should be accused of things that she hasn't done. I don't think Steve should be accused of things that she hasn't done. I don't think WOACB or any of these people, or Tina or Aaron, nobody should be getting accused of things they haven't done. Don't bullshit. So, if Nat is saying that Katie Joy psychologically tortured her and purposefully triggered her in what seems to be an implied attempt to take advantage of her, while also saying that Tina and Aaron did do something but didn't do something? I don't know. I don't know, and I have a hard time trying to understand when you're also saying you have years of therapy on this and you know how to handle it, but then what is going on, right?
But from that, they knew who they could talk to and who they couldn't in the system, and we have a journal that's basically our lifeline, and we have little notes around the house that says all sorts of things. But basically they were talking to specific alters on a secret messenger that was archived in Facebook Messenger. And
so they somehow managed to archive a messenger online that only one of your alters could access? Or only one of your alters knew existed? Or two of your alters knew existed? That is impressive. That is not an easy thing to do. Because the especially if it was like, oh, I only ever talked to these people on streams, or not private calls, and they purposefully triggered me so they could talk to someone else. Like, they psychologically tortured me and triggered me on purpose so that way I wasn't there and it was my alter there, and they were trying purposefully to talk to This is such a ball of fuck Like, it is just a ball. I feel like I've been handed this ball of fuck and I've been asked to unfuck it. And it's Swiss cheese. Because you would know, and she described that she knew that she was having conversations, she would lose the time, and then she would come back in, and either the call would still be going or the call would be over. So she knew that someone had taken over. But now also that was happening because they were psychologically torturing her and triggering her on purpose. That they then also had an instant messenger archived on Facebook that only 1 or 2 of your alters knew about and you didn't know about? This is what I mean. If this is all part of an ongoing investigation and she can't talk about or can't show people what has gone on, then what are you telling people right now? Like, if you can't be talking about what's gone on, why are you half talking about what's gone on without showing people? If you're going to talk about it, talk about it. If you're not going to talk about it, then say, hey, there's ongoing litigation. I'm really sorry I can't talk about that. This shouldn't have gone out. And I'm very, very sorry, please. But then the way you've done this, threw those people back under the bus again. Because your alters came out publicly and said, hey, you know what? There was this other stuff going on and they didn't really do anything and these people are good people. And then you came on and said, actually, all that was a lie. What? If it was a matter of you couldn't talk about it and you couldn't explain, and these people did do something to you and that was a lie, but you can't talk about it, then say so. You don't have to. Just say, yeah, sorry, those shouldn't have gone out. My alters took over. I'm very, very sorry. More of this can come out in litigation or can be explained later. Sadly, because of the litigation, I can't elaborate. Because then that doesn't throw those people back under the bus. But with this, you've purposefully thrown them back under the bus. Because this isn't an alter, this is Nat. So Nat is purposefully throwing Tina and Aaron under the bus. At least just Tina and Aaron. And then also throwing Katie Joy and Kay under the bus with psychological torture is a pretty big accusation. Like, that's a pretty big accusation. And Katie Joy gets herself in enough trouble that you don't need to add additional shit on top of it. So, like I said, I'm not going to treat somebody who has a mental illness as if they are not, as if they're invalids. Nat isn't an invalid. She is making decisions. She is making choices. She is a person. She deserves to be treated as a person. I'm not going to treat her poorly just because she has an illness. Now, that is something that should be treated with care and with respect. I'm certainly not interested in shitting on her because she has these problems. Like I said, I don't know whether this is real or not, but I'm totally willing to treat it as if it is. Because the worst case scenario, it's not, and it makes no difference because for me, and for what I'm trying to express, is that if you're going to take responsibility, then take responsibility. So show and explain. And if you can't show and explain, say, I'm sorry I can't show and explain right now, and say why. People are relatively forgiving. People are relatively understanding in general. Right? Saltz tweeted today part that the FBI informed us they believe that Nat is the center of all the hacking and threats. She received help from at least 2 others that we know about. Yes, we went over that earlier. And so there's a whole... so with Saltz tweeting that out in response... because that was in response to these videos, not this video. Video. Blackstream. But like, where does that leave everything? And in my opinion, I think Saltz is right. More can come out through litigation and through legal paperwork. Speculating about her illness and speculating on her involvement one way or another isn't going to help. It's not going to help her. It's not going to help anybody else who does suffer from DID, who may be collateral damage and might end up being treated poorly in the future because of stuff like this. However, I do think it's important to talk about how this is being handled, right? The way Nat, ignoring the alter egos and what they have and have not said, the way Nat has handled this is inappropriate, especially for somebody who claims that they've been through years of therapy about how to handle these kinds of situations. Like I said, if you're going to take responsibility, then take responsibility one way or another. I'm not asking what you ate for breakfast. I'm asking you to provide something that can be provided. If you can't provide anything, then just say so. So if there's an archived Facebook message, show it. Blast that shit. And if you can't blast it because there's an ongoing FBI case, then say so. Say, hey, listen, this was completely kept from me. I didn't know about it. Unfortunately, I can't show it to you. It will come out in litigation. Then say that. But my problem here, I think I'm having, is that despite the DID and despite alter egos, the Nat we're listening to is not being forthcoming with or handling this situation that we have found ourselves in a way that is conducive to actually answering anything. It's just piling on more questions and making things more and more confusing, and still nobody knows who this woman is. I don't know.
Luckily, they took screen recordings that lead back to their pages, and it's all on a Dropbox and was uploaded.
I'm not sure if she means their pages as in Katie Joy and Kay's pages, or if she means herself and her alters pages. I'm not sure. But I would find it very odd if you had this kind of an issue and you had private access that only each alter could get into. I would find that incredibly odd. I'm going to assume that's not what she meant, and she meant like Kay and... She meant Kay and Katie Joy, who she's apparently accusing of working together in this, right? I'm not sure. But I would find it very odd to set something like that up for yourself. That sounds like you're setting yourself up for problems in the future, but what do I know? Maybe it's part of therapy for all I know. I don't...
And given to Saltz, and will be like it was given to the police and FBI kind of thing. I don't even know. I recorded myself having a conversation a couple of weeks ago when I come back to body. I've been out for the majority of the summer. I did a...
You've been out for the majority of the summer. Is that not during during the investigation? From my understanding, the time frame of the investigation has been over the summer. And so if you've been out of body and it's been an alter that's been there the whole time, during the litigation it was an alter? During the investigation they weren't dealing with Nat, they were dealing with an alter? Because that's kind of a big deal for well, where did it go? Woo, hold on, I gotta find it. Woo. That's kind of a big deal for these screenshots that we looked at earlier. Because, that would matter to the FBI investigation, would it not? Because if they didn't know that they weren't dealing with Nat and thought they were dealing with Nat, I'm not 100% sure that, but that sounds like it would matter, right? Who have the FBI have been talking to?
Recorded conversation in August the 22nd with Salt's Laney and Irish something. And I spoke to Irish for about 3 days, and we went over loads of stuff, and it was good to like get it off my chest, a lot of things.
So then this bit is true. She needs to explain on the record and recorded meeting that took place on 08/22/2021. I've been publicly silent out of respect for Saltz and the active investigation. Thank you, Irish. The FBI informed us they believe Nat is the center of all the hacking and threats. So she's saying this part is true? Because when she did her videos earlier, when she came back to Body, she said all of that was lies. But so far she's backtracking on saying that all that was lies. Tina and Aaron have been cleared, I guess now. There isn't a cult, and that she did talk to Irish Badass, and that meeting did happen, and this was the result of that meeting. So that's true?
Like I told her, and I told Saltz in a recorded call, like, I know from looking through things that I don't think I was ever hacked. I know that Katie McDermott LMN had hold of all my accounts.
So now she's saying she was not hacked, but that Katie Joy and others had a hold of her accounts.
And they were like going in and out, and that's why the IPs were different. I know that they were heavily involved. I know that Steve was involved.
Steve! So you think that Steve was involved in Katie having access to your accounts through your alters? So you think Katie and Steve are working together? If you guys are interested in the litigation going on between Steve and Katie Joy, there is a link in the description below. Feel free to go donate to that GoFundMe, because go fuck yourself, Katie Joy. I don't know how you would come to that conclusion. So let's give her a minute. Let's give her a minute, and maybe she will elaborate. I know that Steve was involved, and that right now she is saying that Katie Joy was heavily involved, and I know that Steve was involved. So let's see how she thinks Steve was involved. I'm sure that'll be forthcoming.
I know that there was another person involved.
How? How do you know that Katie was involved? Because the only thing I can understand here of how even Katie was involved is that you've made the claim that Katie and Kay purposefully triggered your alters to take advantage of you and those alters to do something. But the thing you did was accuse Steve of hacking. So, and try to break people down from the inside, meaning Tina and Aaron. So, you think that Steve was involved with KJ to get you to accuse him of hacking you? I'm gonna put this back. Yeah, I'll put this back. Let's listen to this again.
Like I told her,
Irish.
and I told Salts in a recorded call, like, I know from looking through things that I don't think I was ever hacked. I know that Katie McDermott LMN had hold of all my like accounts, and they were like going in and out, and that's why the IPs were different. I know that they were heavily involved. I know that Steve was involved. I know that there was another person involved. I know that LMN friend was involved, and I know that she had her nephew do something. But
So, in this case, potentially, she's saying a different Katie. She's saying a different Katie is involved. But I cannot tell at this point when she's talking about which Katie. So in some portion she's talking about Katie Joy, and in other portions she's talking about a completely different Katie. And so, in this case, it seems she's saying that Katie Joy and other Katie and Steve were working together to not hack her, but had access to her accounts somehow. How? So Little Miss Noble's name is also Katie. So this is very unclear. This is incredibly unclear. If this is you, Nat, if this is you trying to take responsibility for being unclear, you are even more unclear. It sounds like she's saying that she gave access to her accounts to somebody, but it might not have been her, it might have been her alters. So somehow other people got access to her accounts and then were doing something with them. And that Steve is involved somehow, and that Katie Joy was psychologically torturing her and purposefully triggering her so they could have conversations with her alter ego and take advantage of that for some reason, which she has not gone into what for. I understand nothing. I don't know. This is making my head hurt. And at this point, we are not even 10 minutes into a 50-minute video. If her goal was to clarify and take responsibility, this is an abject failure. You did not succeed. This is such a clusterfuck of whatever it is that you're trying to say. I recommend So she's not accusing... Alright, so Annie is saying she is not accusing Katie Joy of purposefully triggering her. She's accusing the other Katie, which is Little Miss Noble. Then why did she say Katie Joy at the beginning? Oh my god. Oh my god. What? Okay. 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 My brain is not keeping up with what... Sometimes it's better not to go off the cuff and write a script. And the reason you write a script is so that way you don't get distracted by different things, and that way you can say what you want to say in a cohesive manner. I have given this advice many a time to people when they are trying to explain a situation, when they are trying to express something. I'll say, put it in writing. Do a script. Do a script so that way you can read it through and relook and re-explain what the hell is going on. However, when it comes to something like this, Gretchen says, this is why I no longer go as Katie around these parts. Yo, fair. Fair. Gretchen makes a very good point. I would come to the conclusion at this point between what Saltz has said, what's in this video, and what we listened to. Yes, this is the 4th video. And what we listened to previously of one of the videos that was deleted. That all of this is a write-off. There is no reason. Oh yeah, Trigglypuff's in the chat. If you got membership, Trigglypuff's in the chat. It's a little Trigglypuff emote. It seems to me, given everything that's gone on, and given all of like I said, this is a ball of fuck. The only way to deal with this is to pass that ball to somebody else. The FBI is already involved. There's already an extensive investigation and litigation going on. And as Saltz had said, here is that more will eventually come out in court filings. I would recommend that at this point we cannot trust and we do not know anything about what Nat is saying is true or not true, because all she's doing is saying it. And what she's saying is unclear, garbled, confusing, goes left, right, center, up, down. There is no figuring out what exactly it is she's trying to say. She is making accusations left, right, and center about everybody. And my conclusion would come down to not to trust any accusation she makes at all. If it's going to come out in litigation, let it come out in litigation, and we'll read it and look through it then. Then it'll be something that's already verified. There will be screenshots or evidence that goes along with it. We'll be able to check out those filings. But as for listening to whatever it is that she's saying or whatever she is trying to say, there is no parsing it. And if you see anybody trying to take advantage of somebody who claims to be or seems to be, or we're going to give the benefit of the doubt of, struggles with these mental issues, and they're going to take advantage of what one alter is saying versus another alter, or they're going to take advantage of what Nat is saying when she's in body versus out of body to weaponize it and weaponize somebody else's mental health issues against somebody else. So if you see people taking the accusations about Katie and putting them against and using them against Katie, like Katie Joy or Little Miss Noble, or Kay, or WOACB, or Steve, or whoever, Tina, or Aaron, Do not. Just don't. If you see people doing that, they are legitimately taking advantage of somebody whose claims, and we are giving the benefit of the doubt of, has a mental issue and has problems, that their accusation can go left, right, center, sideways. This is not something that you can make claims based off of. This is not something that you can demonize people for. And Nat ought not to be demonized either. It is very clear to me that this is a mess. This video is an absolute mess. And it seems that the videos before, the same thing applies. And I remember back in the summer, just as much of a mess. I would recommend, and my takeaway is, wait for litigation to come out. Don't use or look at any of this stuff as outside of like analyzing it or trying to figure out what it is for what it is. But do not go around using this as evidence against something else. At that point, I would just say you're just weaponizing somebody with DID. And yes, Annie makes a very good point. Bear in mind that Saltz is an attorney who works for Toddy Westbrook, who is using KJ as a star witness in a multi-million-dollar case with KJ's former source, Clark Swanson. Yes, there are players here, and there are players that are playing a different game than us poor folk that are just getting accused of random shit and don't know what the hell is going on. So, that's my takeaway. What do you guys think? Do you guys agree with me? You guys tell me what... I don't know. I would say that anybody who tries to take advantage of this Nat person and tries to weaponize what is clearly quite an incohesive story that they have put forward is probably a piece of garbage. Like I said earlier, I'm not interested in accusing KJ of things that she hasn't done. I'm not interested in weaponizing Nat's mental health, nor trying to take advantage of what she's putting out. And I would almost recommend just saying, like, listen, look at it for your own purposes, but using it as a weapon or trying to use it to further your own agenda is pretty shitty, because it's very, very unclear and not reliable, and there's too much collateral damage when it comes to something like that, in my opinion, because it's so unreliable, and because it's so unclear, and because there's actually nothing to corroborate what she is saying in this video so far. Again, I've only made it 10 minutes, but it is very, very unclear. Nikki says KJ needs to be held accountable. This all leads back to her. I see jail time in KJ's future, one could hope. I'm not sure about that. Jail time is something very specific. And so I would... And there's a really big difference between what is morally and ethically acceptable and what is and is not legal. But didn't KJ say that she had verified that the accounts contacting Nat was Steve McRae's accounts? Yes, KJ did say that. KJ did make the accusation that that she verified, and that she knew that it was Steve that was responsible for the people that were threatening Nat. And that will be a different litigation. Mr. Serious says, depending on what Nat has done personally, she could see jail time. I would hope not, actually, but we'll see. I don't know. It's possible. Lying under oath and things like that can lead to jail time. And the court system, if she does have DID, the court system isn't exactly lenient on people with disorders. Perhaps they should be. Perhaps they ought not to be. Perhaps there ought to be a whole other way that cases like that get handled. But that is a different thing. Uncovering hypocrisy in regards to KJ saying that she verified that it was Steve threatening Nat. Oh, that's defamation. Maybe. Without a crystal ball's victim's voice says, wouldn't Saltz try and protect KJ till his suit is over so his witness against Swanson looks credible? Possibly. I'm not sure. I mean, she'd still be able to speak one way or the other. That's a good point. I'm not 100% sure. It certainly takes Saltz with a grain of salt, as it were. Annie says, not accusing KJ of any crimes, just saying her publicly observable and verifiable behavior sure seems to fit the requirements for multiple crimes against multiple people. Yes, I think that's fair. There's certainly things that have been said that have been staunchly incorrect. Stella said, remember KJ claimed many times to know exactly who was behind all of this. Yes, KJ did certainly make those claims. Somebody named V said he doesn't need, referring to Saltz, doesn't need a witness against Swanson, and especially not a KJ. She's not a credible witness. If you can corroborate what KJ was saying, then it won't matter about her other litigation, I don't think. Not too much. Or not enough, I should say. In my opinion, but hey, what the fuck do I know? I don't know nothing. The Iron Horse 72 says, what if one of Nat's alters watches your live streams? Well, then I hope one of Nat's alters enjoyed the stream and hope they appreciate how serious and what's the word I'm looking for? I take things like mental health seriously, and I take claims like that seriously, and I'm not... My confusion and my questioning is not to attempt to demonize her nor discredit her. It is simply a matter of what you've said is unclear and I do not understand, and here's why, and here are the questions that I have. V says, don't need her, as in KJ, at all. You know, it's all in the paperwork already. Perhaps. Who is Irish Badass? Not Crafty Keela. Not Crafty Keela as far as I know. I'm not familiar with who exactly Irish Badass is, but I've seen them around. Annie said, LOL, KJ has also claimed many times to have stalkers and has talked to the FBI and that people were guilty of crimes they provably were not, and that the police could be showing up on people's doorsteps and. Your smile's always semi-cocked while you pay off Unirock. KJ settled the Toddy defamation case to try to keep her arse out of deep shit. Well, I guess we'll see what she's going to do with her other litigations then, because that's quite a bit... Like, this is what I mean. I don't know if you guys have watched all 10 of the Keeping Up with Katie Joy so far, but I very much try to give Katie the benefit of the doubt. My personal beliefs aside, I try to take a look at what she's saying, giving her the benefit of the doubt, and trying to see the best possible option for her moving forward in what she's saying. I don't have to do that. I don't have to give her those benefits of the doubt. I don't have to give benefit of the doubt towards Nat either. I'm choosing to do that because I think these kinds of things are serious and these kinds of things are absolutely fucking absurd. I have some history with KJ during her mommy Facebook blogging phase. Ooh, I do not envy you that. I do not envy you that. Annie has clarified for us. Irish Badass is allegedly buddies with Keemstar, and the reason he temporarily supported her. She has repeatedly inserted herself into situations without fully understanding them to be a mediator. Eesh. That's a bit rough. That's a bit of an oof. I've tried seeing her. Tammy said, I tried seeing things from her, Katie's, point of view, but I can't fit my head up her ass. Fair enough. I am curious to see what goes on. I did see Flossie retweeting and supporting Steve. So if that's something that interests you, I did see that happen over on Twitter, where if any of you are familiar with Leslie Bass versus KJ and Leslie Bass versus Steve, Leslie's sister Flossie has expressed publicly her support of Steve's lawsuit. So if that's a factor or something you guys care about, that's something that has happened. But yeah, my takeaway from this is that Nat is so unclear that even if what she is saying is true and reliable, it's not possible to decipher it. So I would say with the extensive FBI investigations that have gone on and that more will eventually come out in court filings, I would recommend just putting what she's saying aside, not using it to attack people and take advantage of someone who has mental issues to weaponize against other people, and basically don't be a bottom feeder. And I would recommend waiting and seeing what that litigation or what those court filings actually have to say. I'll be keeping my eyes out for that, and if they come my way, I'll be sure to pass them on off to you, and I will keep my eyes open. You guys feel free to let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm going to be back to have a little bit more of an open conversation about Dumbfeck Friday stuff. Kind of like what I did last Dumbfeck Friday, but I think I might put that on another day. There has been updates to the Non Sequitur Show litigation stuff, and I recommend you go check out Steve's last 2 streams. It should be buried in there somewhere. As well as check out his GoFundMe. Link is down below if you are interested in basically telling Katie Joy to go fuck herself. As well as tomorrow I will be back with D&D for charity if you're interested in that. I am playing a quite posh cat lady, and we are going down into some mines to go kill some monsters. And lastly, I will be back on Friday for Dumbfeck Friday to cover a few different things. One of them is going to be a little bit history-based, and one of them is going to be a little bit, we're going to do a little bit of a follow-up on Canadian Atheist. So, if you're interested in that, there will be a trailer out soon, as well. It's really funny. As well as, if you didn't catch that Dumbfeck Friday about Canadian Atheist, I definitely recommend you check that one out. It was a good time. And if you want something wholesome, go watch my video about Brendan Fraser. It was wholesome and great and a roller coaster. And I was gushing for an hour and a half about how amazing Brendan Fraser is. And I'm going to keep boosting that video because that video deserves to be boosted. Thank you for the super chats tonight. If you became a member, welcome. Thank you. We have more of these kinds of conversations and kind of go in a little bit more into concepts on the Discord, and we hang out and do all kinds of fun stuff. So if you want to become a member or a Patreon, whichever one works better for you, you can join us in the Discord for having those kinds of conversations. You'll have to find the link on the community tab if you are a member, though. As well as thanks for liking, sharing, disliking while it's still around, if it's not gone yet. Don't forget to share and subscribe and knock that bell, and I will be back soon. I will catch you guys next time. I think maybe soon I'm just going to have a hangout where I just talk to you guys about all this rather than sort of going through what's going on. And we can just kind of have a conversation about it. Oh, and also if you enjoy seeing me very candid or seeing me cooking, go find me on Instagram. I'll see you guys next time. I hope everybody has a good night. Enjoy your week coming up. I hope your Monday is wonderful for you. Have a good night, everybody.